rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it.
You are now tapped in to the coolest reptile podcast in the entire world. I'm your boy, MJ. Happy New Year. Here we are, 2021. First episode of the year. And I was not kidding, was I? I told you I was not going to mess around this year. We're starting this year off the way I want to start it off. And that's anything but soft, very proper, very hard. If this is your first time tuning in, please do your boy a solid. Hit the subscription button, hit that like button, hit the dislike button. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you feel, man. Let me know how you feel, literally. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know how you're sleeping, man. I want to know. A lot of weird things going on in this time of age. So I hope you guys are feeling great. I'm feeling awesome, man. Feeling really good about this year. And that's it. Early birds, woo, going nuts. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. But before we get started, you guys know what the deal is. For the freshest and bestest rodents delivered to your doorstep, that's what you got to visit, www.coldbloodedcafe.com, $30 flat rate shipping. Like I said, freshest and bestest, day one pinkies, mammoth rats to your doorstep. You can't go wrong. If you got eggs, put them inside of a sim box. Anywhere from monitor eggs, tortoise eggs, ball python eggs easily hatch out of a sim container. I did it plenty of times last year. I had a lot of people reach out to me wondering if you could actually put eggs inside of a sim box. Yeah, you can. It's crazy. Shout out to the sponsor, Focus Cube Habitats, the future of enclosures when it comes to boreal snakes. I'm sure they're going to be doing a lot more other stuff, but from what I've seen, they're really focused around boreals and whatnot. And man, I cannot wait to get my enclosure in. They did some special custom stuff for me because you know me, I gotta be custom. So I got some stuff coming from Focus Cube Habitats. So make sure you guys visit them. Really awesome stuff. Shout out to my sponsor, Aussie Boys LLC. If you're ready to invest and you're ready to make that next step and you really want to be all about that passion, that breeding, man, you got to go visit Aussie's website, man. Aussie Boys is the man. You can't mess with Aussies, bro. And what's crazy is the guy we have on tonight is one of Aussie's like mentor, man, which is nuts, right? We're going to talk more about that tonight. But shout out to my boy, Aussie Boys. I love you, man. Thank you so much for your support and your sponsor. Freedom Breeder, stainless steel racks. You cannot go wrong, man. Anybody who has Freedom Breeder racks should be proud. You should be patting yourself on the shoulders. That's like literally professional level of breeding and keeping. I cannot wait to deck my room out with Freedom Breeder racks. So if you got Freedom Breeder stuff, I know why you feel a little, little stuck up a little bit because you got Freedom Breeder racks. It's the business. You guys are the business. My trappers are the business. My early birds are the business, man. Oh, real quick. Thank you so much to all you guys who helped me get to 10K. I love you guys, man. I asked for a little. It's a lot, but you guys just delivered whatever I asked. You guys hooked me up, man. You got me to my 10K. Thank you so much. I'm swiping almost every day. I'm swiping up on everybody now. So thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. You have no idea how much that means to me that you guys really stepped up and got me to 10K. That was like a unity thing. So thank you so much. Much love from your boy MJ to you guys. And I got room to follow about 120 more people, man. So if I haven't followed you yet, don't say anything in the live. Make sure you drop a comment and say, yo, MJ, this is how I felt about the show. Follow me at boom. And I'll probably follow you, man. I'm telling you right now. What's up with my early birds? Oh, yeah. Before we get to the early birds, one more thing. If you want to support this channel further than a subscription, our freaking Patreon page is cracking, bro. Our family that we're building there, we all got each other's backs, man. We're doing stuff every other Sunday. A lot of cool lives, a lot of just like, brainstorming. We're all there together, man. And I just love my unit, man. I love my trap family. If you want to be a part of it, we're welcoming people in. So make sure you go click on that link, description below. Check out the Patreon page. Doesn't matter what level you bring it in on. I appreciate anything, man. I just want to build this trap family bigger than what it is. And that's it, man, day by day. So make sure you check that out. Okay. Early birds up in the building. Who do we have, man? Marvel Balls UK, my girl Kayla. She's a part of the trapping crew. So basically, my trappers is what I see up top. My homie Dylan, the homie Foster over at Genetic Intuition, another Canadian in the house, man. I bet you're stoked for tonight. Hey, Canada, where we at tonight, Canada? Where's all my Canadians at? I need my Canadians to drop some comments, man. Because I mean, come on, this is I mean, not only huge for the Americans, but I know it's major for you guys as well too. So drop some comment, Canada. Drop a Canada flag or something. Show some love. What's up, Mindy? Welcome in, Mindy. Tom Rock Holmes. What's up? Timeless Morphs up in the building. Apex, the homie Nick over at Apex Mutations, man. Dave Pothier, I hope I said that right. Aiden, what's up, Aiden? He's a San Diego local, so I've got to say what's my homie right there. Primitive Reptiles, man. Will Moros, ladies and gentlemen, we have a celebrity appearance. My buddy Will. Will, welcome. Okay. Novi, I'm gonna stop it at Novi. Okay, I have to stop Mac Lorenzo. Novi, Mac Lorenzo. All right, guys, I can't be doing this. There's so many amazing people in there in the early birds. So I appreciate you guys so much. Now to get to tonight's guest, man. It's kind of the thing where soundcheck almost became the podcast because we just instantly started talking about things, man. I could already tell how much I'm going to enjoy talking to these two tonight, and only because we've seen Markus on plenty of podcasts, which all heat. But when have we seen Jayne? Right? When have we actually seen Jayne? And I am so excited because they're here tonight, and yes, they're your mentors coming out of Canada. We have Markus and Jayne Menich. Did I say it right? Menich?
It's Mandic, but the proper pronunciation, if you're in Europe, is Mandic. For all those, Croatians and Serbs out there, whatever, it's Mandic. Slovenian, yeah.
Mandic. So Markus and Mandic.
But it's always been Mandic.
I gotta say it where it's rooted from. I have to. So Mandic.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Guys, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here. You have no idea what a great honor. Like I was saying, Mark, I've listened to plenty of other podcasts that you've been on and collaborations you've been on, but I have not seen the beautiful Jayne. And here's Jayne. So we have Markus and Jayne.
Yeah, finally Markus and Jayne, which is Markus Jayne, right? And
oh my God.
Oh, it's awesome. It's our pleasure to be here.
Well, I could say the pleasure's all mine. Everyone is going nuts in the live chats. I don't know if I don't want to kind of mess your guys' concentration up, but just in case, if it's easy for you guys, you see anything that says live chat or comments. If you do click that, you can actually see who's talking to you. So at some point, if you want, you can actually see who's in the comments. Like for instance, Will Moros, you know who Will's that, Will's in the comments saying hi and stuff.
Okay, so, I got it now. Yeah, Will, I love Will.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Shout out from Markus and Jayne to Will. So yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's a complete honor. I know we were we're just talking about how this is Jayne's first time on a show. Now, Jayne, how are you feeling right now?
Fine. No, good.
Okay, perfect. Now
I do things for my own business, so it's fine. It's no biggie.
We're gonna start off right off the top with like, why is it that you don't come on to so many shows with Markus and like kind of, because I hear you're a big part of this. Like, is that correct? Like, you're a huge piece of what the brand is. That's why your name's in it.
When Mo started about 20 years ago, I was really heavily involved, and more than 20 years ago. Gosh,
21. It'll be 21.
2021,
21.
I was pretty heavily involved, and it was great. I really, we did, figuring things out together was so much fun. Like figuring stuff out was so much fun, and but I became heavily involved in my own career and stepped away. And when I come back, it's like things have changed so much. I can't keep track of all these morphs anymore. It's like, oh my God.
Amen.
Yeah.
I've only been doing this. Yeah, I've only been doing this for a few years.
Now with lockdown, I'm kind of at home, so I've been helping Mark out a lot more and picking up where I left off.
So now you're exactly okay. So now you're kind of getting more involved back again, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right, huge.
Yeah, I've got her. She looks after the hatchling room, so she cleans all the hatchling tubs. So that's the best job,
the funnest job for sure.
It is because they're smaller and they're so colorful and it's really cool because she'll come to me and she'll go, Mark, this snake, I like this one right here, right? And which is great to get a different perspective,
right?
Because I'll look at, I'll go, yeah, but what about this? No, I this is my favorite, So, and that's very valuable in itself, right? Because sometimes we get snake blind.
What's amazing is like you're like that's you're going with somebody who, like, for instance, Jayne's just speaking from her heart. It's not like she I don't know, Jayne, do you geek out on morphs? Like from what I understand, you don't, the morphs can get too much to you, right? So you just like what you like from what you see, right?
Yeah, one thing that I've really noticed, and from doing shows, and we sell to the general public as well as you sell to other collectors. So I find sometimes the collector guys are all freaking out over something that's new, and I'm like, okay. Okay. And then, I see people who are just general public buyers who come and freak out over something else. So I think you definitely need two perspectives, right? Everyone's coming at it from a different position.
100%. But your position is, like I said, like, it's amazing because like you're going off, so going off Jayne's like just intuition, like her heart, what she sees and what she thinks you should go for, versus like a lot of other people would maybe go to somebody who's like a higher end, like maybe somebody who is more. I'm not saying that Jayne isn't like respected in the morph game or anything, but I'm saying is like you guys have always been a partnership from the beginning, and to this day you still go to her and say, well, which ones do you like, and that's what you guys run with. And it's crazy because what you guys have market for yourself is never it's on fire. Like you guys have probably one of the most respected brands in the hobby, hands down.
I think as well, if Mark will go, but Jayne, look at this and look at this, but if I have to look too hard to see the difference, that's when I'm like, really?
No. Yeah, if I've got to spend 10 minutes convincing her it's a great snake, it's not a great snake. Something. Look, she looks at it from a point of purses and shoes. She goes, would I wear that as a shoe, or would I carry that as a purse? And that's where she gets it from, right? So, and I appreciate that because it is art, right? And
it is, and it's also what people like, regardless if you're a snake person or not. It's what the initial reaction, if anyone sees it, right? What anybody has to say about, because I've had people who have been terrified of snakes, but I've showed them a picture of a beautiful morph, and they're not terrified of it. They're just like, wow, is that real? Like they instantly don't even think it's real.
Yeah, right? They're mesmerized.
They're mesmerized, right? Yeah. Especially when they see it in person. I feel like that's why, I love transitioning people's like, energy from like, oh, I hate snakes. No. And then I get them in my room, and then like next, not even 5 minutes later, they're holding a snake, and it's like, see, now how do you feel? Like it's not that bad. So yeah. But, okay, so Jayne, I want to ask. So 20 years ago, right? So this is you guys been 21 years ago. Okay, so 21 years ago, what were the beginning morphs 21 years ago? Okay, I want to know what were the foundation morphs for you guys.
A good test. This is a good test.
So a funny story. When Mark was first getting into this, we would just sort of together, and we'd separated from our practice husbands and wives, and we had no money. We were like, oh my God, we really want to try and make something together, like something really special together. And so we discovered that there, people were in love with reptiles, and so we started off with some normal ball pythons, and our kids wanted them, and it's like, kids, they got bored in 5 minutes. Mark and I ended up with them, so we're like, this is so cool. So they had names,
Yeah.
Lana and Togo, and anyway. So then Mark's like, this is kind of cool. He said, would you mind me spending X amount of dollars that I want to buy this snake? And I'm like, are you crazy? We're going to spend this much money on a snake? And he's like, no, it's not just a snake. It is the snake. And how many females do you buy as well? Normals or whatever?
Well, yeah, they were all normal females. Okay.
And do you know what morph was that he was buying?
What was it?
It was a pastel jungle.
A pastel jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pastel. So, and you want to tell him how much the pastel was?
Well, I bought a group of snakes from Greg Graziani because he had a really, really bad year, and I had put a deposit down on a pastel jungle baby, and that year he didn't produce one clutch.
Wow.
So he says, man, I got to sell some snakes. So he put a package together of a breeder male, and I'm going to say 13 adult females for normals for $8,500. And so we really didn't have the money. And so
in Canadian, it's a lot.
In Canadian, yeah, because and yeah, that was US dollars, and our dollar was worth 65 cents to your US dollar back then. So it's 1.5 basically when the exchange is done. So it was about, I don't know, 14,000 Canadian we had to spend. So I had a very wealthy friend who was in the horse business, and I approached him and I said, look, I'll tell you what, if you loan me this money, I will double your money 100% in 1 year. And he said to me, I know you know a lot about horses, but I've never heard you talk about snakes. How do I know you can breed snakes? So I just stared at him for a second. He says, okay, yeah, I know you can do anything. And he wanted to give me the money. In the last minute, I said, you know what? I don't want all his money. We're going to max out a credit card and instead of having to pay him double. And as it turned out, we ended up getting the snakes from Greg, and 12 of them got gravid. And we sold, I don't know, I produced something like 65 pastel jungles. And we sold every female for $2,500 and every male for $1,500. So that was our beginning. Yeah.
That was what year?
That was 2002 is when we first started producing babies, but we started buying snakes in 2000. 1999, 2000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It took a while because, getting snakes up to Canada wasn't easy at all. And I had bought some snakes up here, and they were all normals. They were mite infested. They had ticks all over. It was a freaking nightmare.
You bet.
Dealt with some really bad people, and then I met some great people. And but the best part of the story is Jayne and I went to a reptile show, and we walked up to a booth, and we said, "Oh, we're looking for some ball pythons," and they said, "Dude, you've missed the boat on this one." I said, "What?" They said, the ball python bubble has burst. It's over. Said, yeah, all right. We went to. They said the same thing, right? Even Grant, who runs all the shows up here, said, "Yeah, you're too late. You're too late to the game." And that was the beginning, and here we are. Who would have thought? We did.
God bless the animals, man. That's why I'm like, we're forever in debt to these animals. Like, we'll never we can never, do what these animals done for us. It's crazy.
No, I've been reading some of these comments while Jayne was talking. There's some really, really great comments from people. Thank you.
Yeah, people are loving it. So
couples that are in it together and starting off together, and it's nice that we can encourage them.
Yeah. You guys want to do me a favor on your iPad? I think your iPad's going off. You're getting text message on your iPad, right?
No, it's my thing here.
Can you turn your sound off? Is it possible to turn the sound off?
I don't know how I can do that.
Okay, I don't want to mess you up. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
He won't. Sam, stop.
Yeah, Sam. Is that Khalil? Sam, is that Khalil's?
Yeah. Sam.
No. Oh my God, Sam, what are you doing, Sam? Sam knows better. Yeah. Sam, Khalil, can you tell your little brother to stop texting Markus and Jayne right now? It's terrible.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Sam has a good way of getting his message across. Jeez. I love Sam. Sam's actually a really, really amazing guy.
He is.
He's a nice guy.
He's a super talented individual, very smart guy. Both Khalil and Sam. Yeah.
The Itani brothers are just an amazing duo. I can't wait to. I've met Khalil. I've yet to meet Sam. I want to meet Sam really bad. So, but anyways, we'll talk about that crew in a minute. I do want to continue down, the path, what we were talking about, the beginning stages. So Pastel Jungle, boom, that really was the first one. Now I will tell you this, Jayne, how did it feel? Okay. I want to know, because I know what it felt for my wife. I mean, you got to understand. I went from a life where it was easy money. I don't want to get too involved in the money I was making, but it was just like really short, fast money I've done for a while. And then I want to live a legitimate wife now. I got a beautiful lady who is, not toxic, and she's getting me on the right path. So I want to go that path. But literally it was like me. I was staying up late one night and I was looking at my phone and I was like, man, this is a $400 pied ball python. I don't know what I'm going to do if I spend $400. I can't even take this beautiful girl out to dinner. You know what I mean? Like, but I know I have a good feeling about these snakes, but regardless, what I wanted to explain to her, I didn't even have to say, she said it for me. She's like, what are you doing up so late looking at that snake? I was like, I just really want it. And she was like, well, why don't you get it? Live your life. If you really feel like this is going to do good for you, then do it. And as soon as I got that, things just started landing on my lap. And I mean, trust me, what I'm trying to say now, Jayne, is like, I put her in a position where it was kind of scary. I went from one snake to 60 something snakes, but she saw how happy I was. And she saw, like, I went from having to go through this crazy transition in life where I was almost depressed and caught in between. And I wanted to go back to that life, but the snakes is what kept me. The snakes is what gave me the to where I'm at today. And I just know that, that when I finally showed my wife, look, like the first clutch, you know what I mean? And the first, like, look, I told you, you know what I mean? And it wasn't really, I told you, because we just enjoyed it together. She was there when I cut it and all that good stuff. It was just memorable. But what was that feeling for like for you is what I want to know.
Well, first, congratulations on having an amazing standing wife, because
amazing.
All anybody wants in life is somebody who lets them be who they are and rejoices in who they are. Like, so many people try and change you and put you down, and who wants to be married to someone like that, right? And so you were really, really a lucky guy, but I think you probably come by that luck real honestly as well. Yep. I think that, you've just got to trust people. Sometimes have this feeling in their gut that they've just got to follow. And, one thing Mark can always say, you will like our saying, it is "Porque no," is our saying, is our mantra.
Say that again.
Porque no.
Porque no.
Do you not speak Spanish?
Oh, porque no. Porque no.
Porque no.
Porque no. Like, porque no. Like, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. This is what we will say to each other when we want to try something. I mean, the worst that can happen is you can I swear?
Yeah. I
can fuck you up. I mean, and then you just get back up and you don't make that mistake again. So, but it's I must admit, when Mark first came in to me and we just got together, we got 3 kids, we were like, oh my God, and he wanted to spend this money. It's like, you got to try. I mean, my grandfather used to say, it's better to have tried and failed than not have tried at all. And I really try and live by that.
Right. People could pass through failure, but you can't. I mean, regret is what would really kill somebody. You know what I mean? You can't do nothing about regret. You know what I mean? If you can't go back, you can't go back into time, right? But you can just keep going and keep going. You know, my little Mexican saying that I've said is "Si se puede," like yes I can, like yes I can, like you know, like you can. You know, it sounds super cheesy. I actually got that from like a Disney Channel movie back when I was a kid, but I used to like say that kidding around, but it really was like inspiring. And I was like, dude, you can, like just like, you know, stop bitching, just do it, like just keep going. Like, and you know, I will tell you, when you're talking about the mites and like going through like the, you know, bad people and good people, I bet you don't regret an ounce of those experiences. I bet you're glad you went through all that shit, because so many people, Mark, tried to like, oh, I don't want mites and blah blah. Well, dude, you can't do nothing about it. If you get it, you get it. Like you just like, and it's not the end of the world either. Like, you know what I mean? People are ashamed and they think their brand's gonna go down to shit when, you know, it just happens. Like, you know, like it just, what you do is you do something so it doesn't happen again. You know what I mean? Or what to do when it does happen again, because you can't prevent it when you get snakes in and they get mites, or they have mites, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, all these are lessons that you're learning along the way. So if somebody sells you bad snakes in the way, you know, that they're infested with mites, you say to yourself, this is never going to happen to one of my customers. I will never allow this to happen. So you learn a lot. And you know, all these little failures along the way, or you know, bumps in the road is part of the journey, you know, to get to where the view is really outstanding. And the view is pretty outstanding.
The view is pretty outstanding, and
yeah.
And the view, I mean, dude, that's a really good, that got me really excited, because I mean, you got to understand the you create that view. Like the view you have is what you create. So it's really like, I don't know, man, people go through stuff, but literally at the end of the day, it's up to you. Like it's on you. Like, and it can always be worse. I love that saying, is like, it can always be worse. And I've been, you know, I've said that to myself in some pretty bad conditions, but just understanding that makes you realize that there's people that have been in worse positions than you, and they've gotten out of it. So do something about it.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, when you make mistakes yourself, you have to come up with a solution. And sometimes that forced solution teaches you a whole new way of doing things. And you go, holy shit, I wouldn't have learned this had I not made this mistake, you know, had the heat, you know, turned off or something like that. And so, I don't know, I don't ever complain to Jayne and go, I you know, really fucked up here. I go, you know what I learned today? I learned that, you know, and that's the way we roll, you know. We look at everything as a learning experience. We're still learning. I'm still learning. Don't ever think you know everything, because you just don't, you know. Just
do you like the title reptile expert? Be honest.
Reptile expert. What am I? What are that? When I go through customs, they say, "What am I?" And I have to write down and I write down herpiculturist.
That sounds great.
Herpiculturist. You know, and
they usually put sex therapist.
Sex therapist.
The sex therapist.
Yeah.
Or ballerina. I like
Jayne puts down ballerina. Yeah,
ballerina. That's funny. Yeah. That is so funny. Oh my gosh.
But they never look right, but you got to put it down. So
I just feel like it's hard to be an expert in something that is always evolving. It's always like, I mean, you can't like you're like, for instance, I've never met somebody who literally says, oh, I know it all. Like I've yet to meet a know-it-all in this hobby, and I respect that. But I feel like being an expert is kind of saying you're a know-it-all.
And saying you're an expert almost sounds to me like saying, okay, I've achieved the top as far as I can go. I am now an expert, you know, I've scored 100, and it's just not that well.
You know, I kind of know what I'm doing within my world, But if you put me in somebody else's world, I mean, if you sent me over to Nerd, or if you sent me to Barcheck, or you sent me, to some of these other places, I wouldn't have a freaking clue. Like the knowledge that some of these people have is incredible. You just have to admire it, and it all comes from passion. All these people, the one thing they have in common is incredible passion for what they do.
Well, I'll tell you what, Marcus. I mean, the biggest thing I've got to learn from you so far, before this podcast started, is how big of a mentor you are to a lot of mentors in this hobby. Like, you got to understand how well you're respected to, like, I'm talking about the heaviest hitters in this game. Like, and they look at you as that mentor, like as that somebody who literally they look up to on all sorts of level, whether if it's a person, being a person to a business person, business side of things. And how does that make you feel? Like, how does,
Old makes me feel old. I don't it's a big compliment, to think that I've mentored some people, but I like, people, and I like certain people more than I like others. I don't, we're friends. I'd rather be friends than mentor, but they know, like Will is I think, Will has been around for a long time, and I saw him start. I did not mentor Oz. I have to say, Oz and I are great friends. We've been friends for 18 years. I think the first Tinley Park expo is where we met, at a dinner that Brian Barcheck was throwing at a big steakhouse. And
I heard about that.
Yeah, we sat next to each other and hit it off. And we've been great friends ever since, and talk a lot. We talk a lot, but we talk about everything, not just snakes.
Okay, so this is, this is my generationally how I look at friends. I don't like the term friends, because friends is like acquaintance to me. I feel like mentor is more of a friend than, you know what I mean? Because mentors go back and forth with each other. Like, meaning, like, whoever you mentored, you're still learning stuff from them. It's going back and forth. Yeah. You two mentor each other. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just, like, friends is like an acquaintance to me. I don't like the term friends. I really don't. And this is just me, how I personally feel, because, like, I value relationships I have with people in this hobby, because here I am, like a kid in high school, spending 2-3 hours on the phone with somebody talking about snakes. You know what I mean? And, like, yeah, back then in high school it was probably with girls, but still, like, I'm just like, I'm still like, like on the phone late at night, just talking about, like, stuff that's just keeping me up, Nate. I don't even sleep good at night. And not that I know I sleep good. Let me rewind that. I sleep good. I don't sleep a lot. I sleep like 5 hours, and I'm already, like, up and going. I'm excited. Yeah, sometimes I get my afternoon nap in, I got to admit that, but I'm up before the roosters are up. I'm up at 4 or 5 a.m. like clockwork. So my energy's just, I'm so excited to be up. I'm such a morning person, and it's all because of what's surrounding me. It's like, and I know what's fueling that, so I'm not going to stop, right? Like, why stop what makes you feel good?
Absolutely. So, when you say you talk to people, are you talking to them, or are you texting or messaging?
Calling. I'm talking about old school. And that's because, and I will say, rest in peace, and one of my best friends, Forrest Fanning. He was the first one that I met in this hobby. He was like, "Hey, do you have a minute? Let me call you." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. This is neat. Let's talk." And I couldn't believe he wanted to call me. Like, this is somebody who, like, his account was the best to this day. You can still go to his account, and it's still one of the nicest accounts that's on any Instagram platform. Okay. And it just drives me insane that this guy gave me the time of day, and he did. And we talked almost every other day for at least an hour on the phone. And it was him talking the entire time. And I mean, I have a podcast because I love to talk, but I love it when somebody could shut me up. And that's when somebody is that's when somebody is telling me stuff where I just want to listen and listen and listen. And I could tell you what, this is the first time in my life where I'm able just to just do more listening than talking. I've always been a big talker my entire life, but the knowledge I've been gaining just by listening to people. And, as much as people thank me for having this, I mean, this goes to you guys. This goes to the people who I'm interviewing, because I don't know, you guys are giving me the time of day. You don't have to come on here, especially Jayne. Like, this is a complete honor. I don't feel like I'm worthy of this, but it's happening.
That makes me really uncomfortable.
Sorry. Anyway.
I have to say one thing about friends. I feel the term friend has been degraded, and unfortunately by Facebook, where you can press that little friend button and it's like, this is how many likes I have and this is how many friends I have. And that's really downgraded the value of friends, in my opinion. It's made them almost like not such a special word.
Statistic.
Yeah.
A number.
So guys, that's another reason why I try to, I get everybody wants to build a following, right? But like I want to build people who are following my work, not because I just followed them back. And like for the longest time, I didn't follow a lot of people purposely. Like, I knew that, I can maybe get this guy, but I was like, no, I don't want another distraction. I hate distractions. And sometimes people post some stupid stuff. And I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm guaranteeing I probably rub people the wrong way with my post, but you simply don't have to follow me. I don't tell people, you better follow me, blah, blah, blah. It's a choice. Following people is a choice. And I will say, though, since I started following more accounts, I've been seeing that there's been a lot more good than bad, because I got into this hobby 2017, and 2017 was a weird year, man, because that's when a lot of new people, not a lot, but there was new people coming in and making noise, like Miguel Garcia, you know what I mean? And Never heard of him?
He's got a lot of accounts apparently selling snakes right now.
Have you heard of
in Europe? And he's got like a new wife beside him. Have you seen somebody is hacked and they're using his picture and they're actually selling his snakes on fake accounts? Did you not see that today?
Was this new? Is this recent?
Yeah, he posted it today. He says, somebody's been trying to sell his snakes. It happens. I had a guy try to sell my snakes once to me, literally to me. He sent me pictures of my snakes with my logo attached to them. He didn't know who I was when I inquired, but that was pretty funny.
That can only go so far, because how many people are looking out for you nowadays? So that's good. You know what I mean? There's so many people that are going to see like that's not legit, and that's why I do give props to the community. Is like, people are on hawks. Like, if they notice that they see a Markus Jayne snake being sold on somebody from Europe or somebody in a different account, like, you guys are all over it. So people are all over it. So respect to that. But to real quick, to go back to Miguel real quick, because something crossed my mind, because I
love him.
I love him too. And I want to tell you what brought me and him together in the beginning, because like I said, I want to say the 2017 is when I legitimately got my Instagram account going. But before then, I had a private account, personal account, and I was still following, I was following ball python accounts before I turned it into a brand. But Miguel was one of the first brands that I saw, and I was like, he mentored me, and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe that, how awesome, and I could see his grind and his energy. But then I also started seeing that he was getting a little bit of hate, from people who had been in the hobby and whatnot, saying that, he thinks money could buy things, and we'll see where he is in 2 years, yada yada yada. But it was kind of like, it was a broad bound. I mean, it was a lot. Like, it was out there. But what was your first impression when somebody like Miguel came in and did what he did to the hobby? And I'm talking about not only with the snakes that the projects he got into, but I'm talking about the YouTube platforms, the collaborations he's doing, and all that other stuff.
I thought it was awesome. I mean, it can only help the industry. The more people out there talking positively about the hobby, it can't hurt anything. And, Miguel always represents himself very well. He always is himself. And, he's a really happy guy. And I don't, if I've been doing this 21 years and somebody comes in, and there are guys that have, come in that have way more followers than I have and have way more of a presence than I have. because they've worked really hard to get that. And I can't begrudge them of doing that. It's come from work, and it's come from being smart. And, you know, Miguel has made inroads with celebrities. And, you know, there's people now that know about ball pythons that never knew they existed. So that's good for everybody.
It is too.
So I can't, you know, hate on any of these guys because they're getting more followers. I don't want to be that popular, to be honest with you. I don't want to be that guy that has to put out a YouTube video every day and do a vlog and do this and do that. You know, we take a lot of pride in making sure that our life is very balanced, that, you know, we can spend a lot of time, quality time together. Okay. If we're, you know, sitting here in front of the fire on a Saturday night or even a Tuesday night or whatever, and we've had a nice meal, you know, Jayne and I will sit here and talk for hours about things. We'll talk about business. We'll talk about travel. We'll talk about new ideas. But when you get so many followers and so many people that know you, it can be quite demanding, right? I mean, the other night we were getting the phone was just going off, right, from people overseas and stuff like that. And I don't want to be rude, but, you know, our number one priority is that we have a really good life and a good relationship together, and we enjoy what we're working for. So, and we let our snakes do the talking for us, you know.
Dang. And I mean, really, I've been saying this for a while, like to myself. I'm like, man, just like this is the one thing where you don't have to talk much because the content does the talking for you. Literally, it does all the flexing for you. And, you know, I have a hot. I have hot seat questions towards the end, but I'm gonna let you know what flexing means. Okay, flexing means doesn't mean like you're like, you know, oh, I'm stronger than you. It just means that like you're like shining what you've been working on, and you're just literally just like it's just like a flex move on somebody. So just towards the end, if I ask you if you're a flexor or no flexor, just know what that means. You know what that means when I say that. Okay. Anyways, okay.
Well, you know, I mean, me personally, my job during the day used to be on the computer all day. So, and in my business, I try and build a clientele from relationships that are more talking to them, or maybe more on the phone, like you say, than, you know, the texting and everything else, which, you know what, you can answer a question in 2 seconds on the phone and do like 5 texts back and forwards. It's quicker to talk.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing about, I mean, so let me ask you this, Mark.
Yeah.
Marcus, because okay, here's the thing. I started calling you Marcus, and then Khalil was like, "Why, you know, don't call him Marcus? His name's Mark." And I was like, "Well, he asked me to call him Marcus, but what can I call you?"
Well, Khalil's name is really Callie, so.
DJ
Callie.
DJ Callie.
Yeah, DJ Callie.
Oh my God, DJ Callie.
Yeah, they told you that.
Oh my gosh, I'm losing it right now. That was hilarious.
Most people call him Marcus.
Yeah.
Okay,
my name is Mark. All my friends call me Marcus. Jayne calls me Marcus.
Okay.
The dogs call me Marcus.
All right.
Marcus, not Marcus, but Marcus.
I want to know, Marcus,
yeah.
Mark or Jayne, who came up with the logo? I love your guys' logo. I like it a lot.
Well, I didn't. There was a local graphic designer that I went to and said, "Hey, this is what I want to do." And he used to work for Coca-Cola.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him, you know, I want it to be a snake, but I don't want, you know, it to be a snake per se. And that was that was actually the logo that was originally done. And then a few years later, I think in 2014, we changed it to that orange one. But the snake has always stayed constant, and the font has always stayed constant. So yeah, I just I wanted something clean and instantly identifiable. So yeah, he hit the mark right off the bat.
Yeah, I like it. I love those simple, clean logos. You know what I mean? And it just, I don't know. It definitely has a professional touch to it for sure. So I had to ask because, to me,
great logos out there right now. I got to say, you go on Morph Market, and this industry has become very, very professional. It really has. I mean, it's really shining. It's never been in a better spot than it is right now.
Well, I think I give people like you, Mutation Creations, like Will Moros, like Ozzy, you guys kind of set that bar. Like you guys, the way you guys sent out Snake, and like just the way you do your business and to go about your postings, your listings, and everything like that. People want to keep that up. You know what I mean? Like that's what's beautiful about this. And it's only as big professionally now because how it was originally, before people got in. So man, I love it. I think branding is so important. Now, let me ask you this. At what point should branding be something you should really be focusing on when you're just starting out?
Right when you're starting out.
Before you start out.
Yeah. Yeah, hit them. Yeah, come out with it. Make sure. And there's so many examples out there of great logos. I'm working on a logo right now with a guy down in the States. He contacted me through Instagram for we're going to start breeding some dogs down the road here. We've got some nice German Shepherds. And so I want something really unique. And the one thing I've noticed in the industry is there's not a lot of imagination, what people are doing with their logos. And I want something really, really unique. So I'm doing that. But, a logo is, you look at some of the greatest logos. Coca-Cola is probably the most recognizable logo in the world. Volkswagen, I think, is number 2 or 3. Nike, Apple, and they're all, I mean, Coca-Cola is a little complex. And the guy that did my logo also, he used to work for Coca-Cola in the graphics department. So, you look at Apple, for example, it's such a clean, simple logo. It's so effective. So yeah, invest a lot of money, or you don't have to invest a lot of money right now because there's so many, you can contact graphic artists from all over the world. They can be in the Philippines, they can be in Vietnam, they can be in India, they can be whatever, but they're talented people. Look at their work and communicate and get a good logo and bang, come out with it. Some friends of mine that just got into ball pythons a few years ago, Mordex, Paul and Michelle Lachance, they have a great logo, and it captures you, and it's nice to see that when they introduce it, it was a good logo. So yeah, some great logos out there.
Is Markus Jayne? Is there a dog breeding brand called Markus Jayne or no?
No, it's gonna be vom Reinhaus, German, because my dogs are imported from Europe. So
wow, you have the real deal German.
They're the real. You know what? And it kind of sounds pretentious when I say, yes, I imported my dogs from Europe. The problem is, a lot of dogs over here have a lot of health issues because a lot of people haven't focused on the things that are important, like the stamina and that in the animals, and the pigment in the color. Of these.
It's just like reptiles.
Just like reptiles.
Buy the best to create the best. I mean,
yeah. So I was lucky to find some really, really top breeders and lucked out on getting in on, some great. We only have 3 German Shepherds, but the 2 girls I imported from Europe, and they're absolutely amazing dogs.
Okay, now I got to tell you this. I love dogs. Okay, reptiles. I mean, I love reptiles on a different level, but dogs are the reason why I'm not really. I mean, I love kids. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not too You know what I mean? I'll wait for my wife to press me about kids because my dogs are my kids. Like they're like children to me. They stress me out like kids. Like they're just like my children, and I love them to death. My sister.
What sort of dogs do you have?
I have pit bulls, pure pit bulls.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
I'm sorry.
How many do you have?
I have two.
Nice.
I have two, and my sister breeds them. My sister's been breeding for like the last 10 years, and she has like, you know, a good line of that she's been breeding with for a while. But I just know that breeding dogs is not easy. Like it's a lot. It's a pain in the butt. Oh, look at the doggy. Oh man, look at that coat. I love that dark, that brown and black. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's the signature
pigment.
Okay.
And you'll see a lot of North American German Shepherds are almost blonde. Like there's just no pigment.
Nice Wolf.
Wolf.
Wolf. Come here, Wolfie. Come here, Wolfie.
Chris.
Oh gosh. So what's the age on that one?
She will be 3.
So 3
in May.
This is Penny.
Yeah, there's Penny there.
Oh my gosh. So you have 2 females. Or how many do you have?
We got 2 females and a male, but the male's fixed. He's just a pet.
That's the dream right there. Look at that.
He's an awesome dog.
He is my dog. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Man, I love, like, it was so hard to, I mean, at some point I would love to have all sorts of different types of dogs.
No.
They're not allowed on the couch, so getting him up on the couch is difficult. They're not allowed up there.
Yeah. And Priska, you got to get off the couch now. Go on. Down you get.
No,
That's my everyday battle. Like I'll never win that get off the couch. I mean, I'll go for so long, and then I will be so tired or something, and I look and it's on the couch, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then they give you that look like I'm not doing nothing wrong. Like I'm just here. Like, you know, like I'm at the edge. I'm not even on the couch, you know, and I just, I always like, I don't know. I give in every single time. It's bad.
Yeah.
My wife is a strict one. So she's like, get off. And I'm just like, told you. Sorry. Oh man. But okay. So breeding.
People who are always happy to see you every day.
Oh, it's like, I mean, nobody loves you more than your dog. That's all I gotta say. Nobody will love you more than your dog. And you could literally be, you know, you could not be the best person in the world. The dog will still love you. That's why I love, you know, it's not fair how some dogs get treated. I don't want to get into that, but I'm just saying, like, man, like, that's why, like, my dogs, I know they're not here for long. I don't want to get into that either, but that's why I treat them. I give them the best life I could possibly give them. And I love them to death. And, I know I'll always have a dog. That's why I'm like, we need a third one. I for sure need a third one because Capone is pushing 8 and Delilah's 3. No, she's pushing 4. So, you know, Capone hasn't slowed down yet, but you know what I mean? Like at some point, Delilah's energy is never going to stop. So I got to bring that next Capone in, that next male. Cause I like having a male and female. I as long as they're fixed, I like having that duo, you know, cause it always seems to work for pit bulls.
Yeah, 2 girls together. They come by the name bitches for a reason. They're
right. And even and then 2 males together could even go really wrong too. Like, you know what I mean? 2 of the same sex, I feel like it's like, you know, sometimes it's not always the case, but I feel like you're playing with fire either way. You know what I mean? That's why if you go with a male and female and they're around the same age or whatever, you know what I mean? You can't go wrong. So, So at what point are you looking to start breeding again? Or when's that possible?
What, dogs or snakes?
No, dogs. Because I'm talking about the dogs. You said you're going to start breeding.
Yeah, February, April, March, April. Depends when they come in the heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like collaborating with someone else's male, or how's that working?
Yeah, a friend of mine owns a really nice. These are long coat German Shepherds. I hope we're not boring everybody with dog talk.
No, we're
not. These are long coat German Shepherds, which is a recessive gene within the German Shepherd breed. Most people are used to seeing what are called short coat or the stock coat German Shepherds, but there's gene floating around in the breed, and occasionally, you know, litters would have these long coat German Shepherd, and they're pretty spectacular dogs. with long flowing, hair and manes and everything like that.
Wow.
And they've only been recognized by the German Association since 2012. They've been allowed to show, so not that long. So it's a fairly new thing. So finding a quality male is very difficult. But a friend of mine owns a male, and he won the Canadian Championship and the U.S. Championship last year with some very, very stiff competition. So he's a pretty amazing male. So I'm really lucky, and he's only 25 minutes from my house. So that's who I'll be breeding to.
Wow, that is neat.
Yeah.
And that's exciting stuff. Now, are you going to do both females or just one?
Both, but they'll be, several months apart. Yeah, I won't have 2 litters at once. I'm not that crazy. And, dogs are a lot of work compared to snakes.
They are.
They really are, especially raising puppies. But I like puppy breath. I'm not a big fan of snake breath.
Oh my God, I love dog breath all day. It doesn't bother me. It's my dogs, of course, because I know what my dogs are actually getting into. I mean, for the most part, other dogs, I don't, dogs get into anything, to be honest. But
the puppies are pretty cool.
This is the dog. My Aunt Christine actually breeds and works with German Shepherds as well. This is her female. This is her
working line. She got working line German Shepherds.
Yeah. So I German Shepherds. I mean, if it's not Pit Bulls for me, it's German Shepherds. Those are my 2 favorite breeds. So that's why I wanted to ask more about that. And yeah, thanks for talking about that. And yeah, awesome. All right, back to the snakes. So we were talking, like I said earlier, about the beginning stages of the the morphs that got it started for you. But what I want to know was that big investment morph, that recessive morph. Like, what was that the biggest first, risky? I guess you could say risky, or like maybe something you're like, oh boy, I'm not too sure about this, but you roll the dice with it and it worked out for you. And recessive wise, I'm talking recessive.
Well, I think caramel really caught my eye. I loved caramels, and piebalds, caught my eye. I first piebald I bought, I paid $8,500, and it was dead 2 weeks later.
Wow.
I didn't know, really how to tell a sick snake or whatever, and I bought it from a guy up here that was apparently very reputable. He's no longer in the business.
Go figure.
But he never returned any of my calls, emails, anything like that. And then which was kind of a blessing, because I ended up then buying a piebald from Doug Beard and Jayne Malson, and it ended up being the snake that I think a son of it and a daughter of it produced my first lightning pied. So that was the snake that was carrying the mjexotic line gene. So had that one snake not passed away, I probably wouldn't have gone out and bought this other piebald that launched the lightning line.
Well, I guess we're going to get into it. The MJ lightning line. It is amazing. And like, my name's MJ. So obviously something like that's going to stand out. And it did. Not even, it could have been named anything. You could have named, freaking cool snake, and it just would have been amazing. But the name's awesome, but the snake looks even more awesome. And I want to know what went into this. Like, how did this happen? Like, and if it was by mistake, then even bigger props. But how did it
completely by mistake? I had no idea, the gene was floating around, because, back in the day, people like Pete Call, they were bringing in a lot of wild caught females, from Africa. And what we suspect, because the Doug Beard and Jayne Malson bought their original piebald from Pete Call, because Pete Call was the only one that had piebalds. So somewhere along the line, the the recessive gene crept in there. So it was like, you know, it was just a het. Nobody could see the lightning part. And so I got the pied, and you know, you end up breeding it and producing sons and daughters and whatever, and then you keep breeding whatever. So it just one day, you know, I went down my incubator and I saw this head sticking out, and I was like,
"Oh my God,
what?" You know, I saw a silver head, and I went, "Yeah, colored up yet?" And then I went down, you know, a little bit long, and I'm looking, and I said, "No, this is weird." So it came out, and it was a lightning pipe, and so I didn't name it at that point. But then a second one came out, and that's why I call it a lightning pipe, because they say lightning won't hit the same area twice, strike twice, but it did. So that's why I called it the lightning, and lightning, you know, has the same color as basically a piebald. So that's where it got its name. So.
And then I'm going through your page right now, and we're going to talk about a couple of these snakes, but it's unreal. Like, it's another level of, like, on one thing, it's on its own level. Okay. It's just, you know, I don't know. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's Axanthic in it, right? So this is the mjexotic. Is that right?
This is mjexotic piebald calico.
Wow, dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, it's not just mjexotic. For sure, it's not.
The silver, the gray is the MJ influence. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're a very, very clean axanthic. You know, I'm really proud of them, and a lot of people really like them. You know, unfortunately, I can never produce enough. And this year, what I wanted to do was produce some other morphs that weren't just lightning pied. So I went for a lot of the calico influence in the snake. I also produced a Mojave, a vanilla axanthic, and yeah, they're pretty amazing snakes. Pretty happy.
I want to talk about this one now, because this is calico, right? So this has calico. So this is like the one we just looked at, but without pied.
Yeah, that's a calico. I think a pastel calico axanthic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, my favorite, well, I mean, this is one of my favorites for sure. It's just a crazy snake. But with Orange Dream in it, it's ridiculous. Just an Orange Dream lightning pied. Amazing.
You have an Orange Dream lightning pied, a breeder male, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I think I have that. I'm going to pull that up right now.
Yeah, the picture in my hand. It's on my Instagram page, I think.
I see it. Now, so let me ask you this. What do you think the future really holds with this gene? Because I know you're saying that you can't produce enough of them, but you feel like if people keep investing in it, that'd be a different story, or what do you think the future holds with this?
Well, look, honestly, we're just getting started, because most of the snakes that are being produced out there in the axanthic, you know, the MJ axanthic line, are lightning pieds. We haven't done clown yet. We haven't done, you know, desert ghost. I mean, can you imagine a pastel desert ghost axanthic? I mean, that's going to be absolutely insane. So, I mean, the sky's the limit, because when we do a show, and Jayne can attest to this, that it doesn't matter how many snakes we have on the table, and we have a lot. We'll put a lightning pied, you know, in there somewhere. Or we had one year, we had the OD lightning pied, and Oz came to that show, and Oz, you know, he like pulled it out, and he's like, damn, like he just couldn't get over it. And the snake has just gotten better and better. And that's the thing is, you know, when we first got into ball pythons back in the day, 1999, 2000, there really weren't a lot of morphs out there that got better with age.
Yeah.
This is a new phenomenon that you're, going to experience. You're very lucky to have jumped into this industry right now, because there are just so many morphs that are better as adults than they are as hatchlings. Whereas in the olden days, it was completely opposite,
Mhm.
Crazy. Now I want to say this, because one thing that my wife helps me out a lot, Jayne, is she's like real delicate with things where like my hands, I'm kind of like, I don't know, when it comes to like a soft touch or something like that, I really like, especially when it comes to like, first aid stuff, where like I'll typically hold the head and she'll like do the delicate stuff. Do you play a part of that? Like if like, if Markus needs help with a, I don't know, wounded animal or like whatever, I'm sure there's numerous things you guys have gone through since keeping animals, everything happens, right? So do you like being a part of that and helping them out with stuff like that?
I used to be a nurse. It doesn't bother me.
Cool. Do you enjoy it?
I make sure she puts on her nurse's outfit first.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't like to see anything. And actually, we don't have many examples.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when was the last time I asked you to help me with something.
Not very often.
No.
We're pretty lucky, but I think like Mark's so anal about keeping things clean and keeping everything in good condition, and he's really
and feeding. Feeding. Yeah. I mean, we raise all our own rats, and so it's awesome when you know what you've put into the rats, the food you've put into the rats, and the rats you're feeding the snakes. I'll take a big tub of rats. I'll look at the snake and I'll go, okay, that rat there, because it's the right size. The other thing I don't do is feed anything big. The biggest rat I'll feed is a small rat. Most of the time, 90% of the time, I feed weans, because they won't hurt a snake if, all of a sudden they grab it the wrong way. Not like a medium will. And I hear people saying, oh, we feed mediums because, you only have to feed one. Well, if you're feeding live and you're feeding mediums, you've got to be really, really careful, because
you got to watch the whole thing go down. I tell people all the time, if you really feel like you could toss a medium rat and walk away, you're literally playing with the worst kind of fire.
Absolutely.
I've learned the hard way. I've had a snake get bit. Luckily it was fine, but still you don't want to go down that route. Like it's
not even them getting bit. Okay. It's the intimidation of the rat towards that snake. And that snake, sometimes if a snake gets intimidated by a medium rat, he'll or she will go off food for a long time. It's a confidence thing, right? You want your snakes to be confident that they can, when something comes in, they'll boom, go and get it and eat it. And I mean, most times, 90% of the times, they're taking it right off my tongs. I mean, they don't even get to be placed down. So
now, what about frozen thawed? If you have a collection that all eats frozen thawed, you still wouldn't go medium?
You can, if the snake can handle it. A lot of snakes won't take such a big prey. I mean, it's an individual thing. If your snake can, but I've had, situations where if I fed a medium rat and the snake grabbed it, it'd kill it, and it would take it partway down, and it's just too big for the snake, and they'll spit it out. So you really do have to look at the snake and determine the size of prey that you're going to give it to maintain that confidence and ease of it to, swallow the snake and the rat and digest it. One thing that I do is I feed my adults every 2 weeks. I don't feed every week. I know a lot of people do. And a lot of people might think, oh, you're crazy for only feeding every 2 weeks. But what I'll do is I will feed, 2 to 3 good size weaned to small rats. So now they got 2 weeks to sit there, digest, get it through the system, have a shit, and then they're ready to eat again. And what I found is when I was feeding once a week, they would, they'd take a week off. They wouldn't eat. And then I'd go to feed them the next week, and they'd go, yeah, maybe not this week. I get way, way more consistent feeders in my adults. I'm not talking about hatchlings. Hatchlings I feed once a week minimum. But, it really works out that way.
I could definitely, this is one of the things it's irritating to me, because I've been in this game for 3 years and just been like, I'm going more, but I've been real passionate about what I've been doing. But a lot of stuff, habits I built on my own. Like for instance, feeding, right? Like I've always overfed my animals from the beginning, and I just never knew I was doing it. Like, for instance, and I learned this having a conversation with Barchek, because he was telling me how important it is when a female goes off food. When a female lays a clutch, that it's important to get her up back to size, but then keep her lean throughout, until, basically it's seasoned, until the rodent, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I was always told, you freaking feed a ball python till it doesn't want to eat no more. Like, that's just like literally what I was taught in the beginning. I didn't know better, right? But I'm telling you right now, I have adult ball pythons that slam a medium like it's freaking nothing. Like, it is nothing. They laugh at a medium rat.
Yeah.
And because I'm telling you, like, this, I love these practices. This is why I have this podcast, is because I would have loved it if I would have knew this stuff in the beginning. You know what I mean? Because theoretically, in the long run, it's way more feasible and way easier to give your snake what's realistically their diet in the wild. Because
they produce in the wild like there's no tomorrow. I mean, every female they find in the wild is gravid,
and they're not mediums. They don't find medium. I mean, they don't find sewer rats in Africa, or you know what I mean. They're African soft furred rats, which is basically a mouse on steroids.
Yep.
Okay, but it's not quite.
Piranha is what they are. Those little bastards.
Dude, I've bred some nice ones, but
You're lucky. Mine will take my finger off.
Oh man, they are cute though, right?
Oh yeah, they're very cute.
Oh man, they're like little werewolves when they're pups. Like, like when they're just born, they have little hair, like little mohawk. Oh my god, I used to love them. I miss them. They're just illegal in California, which I didn't know until I had about 12 colonies. And now they're like, oh, you can't have these. And I was like, that's why it's like important. It's people. Knowledge is out there. You know what I mean? Just people just need to slow it down. I went too fast in the beginning with all my stuff, because how much my life was becoming happier with everything. But still, like, there's people like Markus and Jayne and tons of other people who've been doing this, and it just makes sense. I've been learning so many things lately that's like, oh wow, like a lightning bulb, like, oh, that makes total sense. And I keep chondros too, so you definitely can't overfeed a chondro. Like, I'll tell you that right now. Chondros, it's all about the lighter side of meals, and if you even slightly go heavier, you go once a month. So, and that's and it's funny that it can't be that different with a ball python. You know what I mean? It's the same concept. You know what I mean? That's why it makes sense why you do once every 2 weeks. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you this, Markus. In the beginning, did you go through a lot of trial and errors with hatching snakes, like your incubation and stuff like that? Like, what were some really good practices you learned with hatching snakes?
No, it was really good. I mean, from the beginning, I built a walk-in incubator because I saw the Barkers had one. And I thought, what a great idea. They used to use big pails. And then I saw what Snake Keeper, Dan and Colette were doing, and I thought that was great. So I kind of copied what they were doing with their styrofoam boxes and the glass on top. But now I just use, the Rubbermaid or whatever tubs. But one thing I will say, and I will admit to, if I have any regrets, it was that I cut some eggs too early. And by early, I'm going to say 50 days and not, what some people are cutting today. And I did have some snakes crawl out as a result of the cutting and die. And I don't know if it was, now to this day, I still have snakes that will cut the egg open themselves and try to crawl out and die. You always get 1 or 2 a year. When you're producing, 400 to 800 snakes a year, that's going to happen. But I try to make a habit of waiting for the snakes, to pip and if at least half the clutch to start pipping before I get tempted to start cutting some eggs open. But most of the time I'll just let them pip on their own, because nothing's going to change, and if I have, a bunch that have pipped and they've got their heads out and there's a couple eggs that haven't, then I will cut those eggs open. But I don't do a lot of prodding and speculation. I like to wait until they come out.
That's awesome. Yeah. And the cool thing about that, for the most part, there are different, to a certain extent, there are there's different ways of how you want to cut your eggs. Everyone has their different, like for me, I cut on day 52 like it's clockwork. I don't give a crap. Day 52, boom, I cut. And then they usually come out 2-3 days right after that. And Miguel taught me that. I've never stopped, and I've yet to have a snake die out of, I've had, I probably just shy of 100 clutches, but that just works for me. And I'm not gonna, that saying, why would you fix something that's not broken? You know what I mean? But if somebody's doing something like that, do you recommend they stop and let them just pip on their own, or would you continue just to stick to the day 52 like what I'm doing?
I think if it works for you, it depends, what temperature you're incubating at. If you're incubating at 90, 91, they will pip between 50 and 51, 2 days. Mine, I incubated at 89, and they generally pip at 54. I have a chart. So when the eggs are laid, I put in, okay, this is the lay date, this is the hatch date. So generally, and what I will do, so I put them in a Tupperware or whatever Rubbermaid container, shoebox container with the what's it called? The stuff, the stuff, the insulation stuff. Perlite, yeah. But I put light grade on top, okay, so it never touches the perlite. So the perlite is very, very moist, to the point that if I tip it, I can see a bit of water come down to the edge. So they're in there until about day 52. Day 52, I take them out of that, and I put them in another bigger shoebox that has cocoa chip in there, cocoa husk. And I moisten the cocoa husk, not that it's wet, but it's going to maintain a relatively high humidity. And I lay the eggs on the cocoa husk, and I let them pip and crawl out onto the cocoa husk. So now when they do that, then I let them all shed in there. So I remove the eggshells and everything like that. I let them stay together. They got water in there. They all shed out. And I wait an additional week. And then I put them separately in their own onto cocoa husk. So what they hatch onto is what they will live on for the rest of their life, as opposed to, hatching out on light grate or whatever. And I know there's some great hatching things. I think you have a sponsor that has
container. Yeah, shout out to Sim Container.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yep.
You know what? You can't make a mistake, and which is basically what I'm doing with the light grate. But if they wanted to send me some, I would try them out.
Cool. Well, I'd love to see some Markus Jayne eggs inside of a sim container, and I'm pretty sure I can make that happen. So don't you worry. Let's see what I can. Because I'll tell you right now, what's so simple about a sim box, you literally just put about 4 inches of water.
Yeah.
Put eggs in there. You call it a day. Like the lid doesn't need to be fully. It doesn't need a clip on. You don't need to put a saran wrap. None of that stuff. You just it's like done. And you come back later, and literally, I don't look at my eggs until day 50, and then I come back and I go, all right, cool, here we go. You know what I mean? That's basically how I do it, because it keeps my mind, less stressed. Because I'll tell you what, the first year was terrible. Looking at my eggs every week, I was doing once a week, and that was killing me. I was just like, this is too much. Like, let them do it. Let it do its thing.
Yeah,
yeah. So I think who always evolving can't. I'm sorry, no, JP, JP. JP. Jordan. Yeah. I make fun of him, but anyways, I had him on the podcast, and bless his heart, he was telling a story how he literally, like, his first clutch, I think he stayed the whole night sitting down Indian style with like a big mug of cocoa, just staring into the incubator, because he was just so happy. You know what I mean? And when a grown man talks about that kind of happiness, that's when like, man, he's not the only one that feels that happy with these snakes. Like, I'm telling you, it's literally a blessing. Like, it's amazing, especially when they come out of the egg. Like, that's like the wow factors when you actually create something, regardless of what it looks like. I mean, as long as it's alive.
There's not a lot you can compare to hatching out snakes.
No.
And not a lot you can compare to hatching out snakes in this day and age. Right. I mean, I remember hatching out albinos, and they weren't even here. They were down at Greg Graziani's, because I had bought a couple of het females, and he was going to, ship them to me with a shipment. And he said, I got an albino male here. Why don't I just keep her here and breed her here, and, we'll do a breeding loan. I said, that'd be great. And, he ended up calling me at 6 o'clock in the morning, because he got up to see, and they had pipped, and it was albinos. And I think I ran upstairs and jumped on the bed and jumped on Jayne. And there was no sex involved, because it was better than sex. It was hatching out albinos back then, and it was awesome. But, you never lose that. You never lose that. And, as much as, we're going to breed dogs, I've bred horses and whatever. And we used to breed dogs a long time ago. When we first got together, we bred Labrador retrievers for 13 years. Snakes come out at all different colors, and they are what they are, right? It's not like you have a baby horse and you go, oh yeah, this horse is going to change, and it's going to be like 3 years before I see what it's really going to look like. Or dogs, it's going to take 2 years. The snake crawls out, and that's exactly what you're getting for your money, right?
But even then, it's like, you've been doing this for how many years now, and you're still not like ever, like, you're never really like you can never really predict what's going to happen to this day.
No. Well, my slogan on my website, and it has been from day one, is, you ready for this? Always evolving. So,
what? Really?
Yeah, that's our slogan.
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
So Miguel and I are in a lawsuit right now, and I'm looking for one of his cars. That's all I want, one of his cars. Miguel, I want one of your cars. No, I don't think he was aware that my slogan was always evolving. But even if he was and he took it, I don't have a problem with that.
If he wasn't so hungover from Vegas, I would so freaking FaceTiming right now. But I know he's probably incoherent out of it, so I'll spare him right now. But figure this out, Miguel. Make it right, Markus.
Okay, it's okay. It's a great name. It's a great name.
Yeah, he breeds some bull terriers, which are really, really cool.
Yeah, I saw those. They're very nice.
Neat, crazy bastards, but I don't want to get into more dog talk. The Java gene. I've been hearing about so much about the Java gene. I want to know more about it.
Well, it's a gene that popped out of my piebald project, and it was a darker gene, and I started breeding it into the piebalds, and I ended up getting really, really dark piebalds, and then I got a super Java piebald, and it was almost like dark chocolate piebald, and white, which was great. Honestly, there's other snakes out there that will do that, to piebald. But what we've discovered recently is it goes incredibly well with banana, and especially banana enchi. I mean, the burgundy in it is just incredible, and the oranges are just insane.
Yeah, the orange is crazy.
It's an awesome snake, and so this year I'm putting it into clown because the whole clown project thing is going towards darker morphs, and some people had some great vision, Justin, and it's amazing, what's happening with the clowns. I mean, to me, the best snake out there right now, all-round snake, if you're going to have several of them in your racket, would be clowns. You think about it, Tracy Barker, had clowns back in early 2000s, if not 2000 or prior to that, and they're still
hot,
kicking ass. I mean, they're still kicking ass. And I got to give credit to some great breeders out there, that have mixed certain genes into the clowns that have just kept them so popular. Justin Kabelka, Will Morose, Mark Bailey. That's a guy you need to get on this podcast, is Mark Bailey. I'll tell you.
I had Mark. I didn't have Mark on this one, but I do run another podcast called Unfiltered Reptiles Podcast, which, by the way, I will say, guys, you will have to go on that podcast as well.
Sure.
Because my co-hosts are not too happy. They're like, what? They're like, whoa. Because I'll tell you, all this podcast stems from that original podcast, Unfiltered. I started it with Forrest, my buddy who's no longer here, and he was able to pull guests I didn't know about these people, you know what I mean? And that's where I found out about the Pete call and stuff like that, which I don't think I'll ever be able to get Pete call. But anyways, yeah, it's that's like the legendary podcast. That's where we get people that don't really go on any podcast. And we got Mark Bailey. Mark Bailey was on there 2 podcasts ago. And man, what an awesome guy Mark Bailey is.
Yeah, he is.
Back. He is so cool. Like my kind of guy. That guy is, man. Funnier than shit. He is, dude. That's my kind of guy. And man, what a great, it was a freaking awesome interview. He was great to know. But I would love to get him back, actually get him on Trap Talk. That'd be awesome because, he could talk more about his ball pythons. Where, that other podcast is primarily around all species, where this one's really ball focused. But real quick, so let's talk. I want to show the Java real quick. The banana with enchi in it. Wow, this is amazing. Okay, so this is one of the combos we were just talking about. Is that right?
Yeah. And that what happens is the white in it becomes a super, super rich lavender, and the oranges really pop as well. I mean, it just, I'm really, really happy with it. I mean, we've got to do a video, I think, on the Java. A lot of people contact me about the Java, and I think it's going to be, I mean, it's one of those genes that have been around for a long time, but I really haven't hit on things that I went like, okay, now I'm ready, to let this out and let it be super known. But we're there now, I think, with what I've got.
Oh, I'm excited. So now, obviously clown, we're looking to put clown in this now, right?
Yeah. I want to put clown into everything.
Yeah, I hear you. Why not? It doesn't hurt. It only makes it better.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Mark Bailey and clown, we got to say, you just got this from Mark 3 weeks ago. Is that right?
I did. Is that I bought a mahogany and I bought a Wookiee clown. I think that's the Wookiee. Or is it mahogany?
It says 2 new additions to the circus, mahogany and Wookiee clown. I'm not sure. And this is the only picture in the post. So,
really?
Yeah.
To the
Hold on. Oh, okay. Actually, wait a second. I'm getting the other one right now because there actually is another one. My mistake. But let's see. So, do you have a lot of snakes from Mark in your collection?
A fair amount. I mean, I've bought some snakes from him over the years. When I used to go down to Tinley, I'd buy a few. Mark is one of those people that you can talk to twice a year, but when you get on the phone with him, you're on there for 2 hours. You know,
Yeah.
he's
Good ones.
he's really, really a special person,
Yeah.
and a great breeder. Great breeder. You know,
There's
so that I think is the Jesus. I'm not sure which is which. That might be the mahogany right there.
That's the mahogany.
that's the Wookiee.
That's the Wookiee, I think. They're very similar. They're very similar. I mean, have you heard that stranger and mahogany are the same thing? Have you heard that?
I had Josh Jensen on the show probably like a few months back, and he was pretty confident that stranger was its own gene. And stranger is his, that's like what MJ is to you, stranger is to him. So
Well, Josh didn't produce stranger, did he?
I think he's
over in Europe.
I think he's one of the original. He's like one of the first people to actually have stranger in the States.
Right. Yeah.
It's like he was the one to put it on, like, kind of what Ozzy is to Orange Dream. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well, Ozzy was the originator of Orange Dream. Yeah. Oz is Mr. Orange Dream.
He is Orange Dream, yeah. Orange Dream God. Shout out to Ozzy Boyds.
Yeah, and that's not taking anything away from Josh. If Josh was the first guy to get strangers, that's cool. I'm just not aware of the history, but I'm pretty sure the snake originated in Europe. If I'm wrong, somebody put it up in the comments. Somebody
right. I just know I from what my recollection, it's like, that's started with what's his name? Josh. Not that he produced it, but I just know as far as like
brought it
United States. Where it came from, what it brought. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or my bad. I'm thinking acid. Oops. See, this is how I need to learn. I wasn't even thinking. I think I'm thinking acid. I don't even think I'm thinking stranger. Acid. Thanks, Will. That's my boy.
In there. What are you smoking there?
What am I smoking?
Yeah.
It's called. So this is a form of concentrate. So
okay.
It's called batter.
All right.
Really, really good. Obviously.
So cookie batter, cookie dough, cookie batter.
Cookie, yeah. So there's wax, right? There's like different forms of like this concentrate that's really, really strong. It's like you get the most THC out of it. Because I smoke so much to where I don't like smoking the actual flower form because it's I cough, it hurts, and I just don't have time to smoke that much flower.
Okay.
So I go that route. It's a lot more feasible. It's easier for me, and I like it better, for sure. Any of you guys partake? Any of you guys smoke?
I like to smoke occasionally. Yeah.
What about you, Jayne?
Legal? No, Jayne's not a smoker. I mean, I very occasionally. I mean, maybe once or twice a week. I've got a little vape, but I like it. I like a nice sativa. I mean, I smoke weed like I drink wine. I don't like getting, in the couch,
right?
Not where I can't move, function. I like to cook a lot, and so it just opens up the creative juices. When I'm preparing meals.
I'm looking to not move. That's my goal. I just don't want to move. I want to get so damn high where I just don't move. And it's impossible to ever get. I mean, it's not impossible, but literally I'm such a high strong ADD person where like my thinking is not proper unless I smoke. Like smoking is what calms like all this down because I got so many amazing things going on in my head, right? And they just feel like they just want to get out. And sometimes they just want to come out my mouth. And when I smoke and when I take my Alpha Brain, it's not a sponsorship or anything. I'm just saying when I take my Alpha Brain and I smoke, it just kind of relaxes everything. And everything comes categorized. Like it's like, oh, boom, 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 boom. And, not that this is really unstructured. I'm just talking to you guys like how I talk to you in person, basically. Right. And this is an amazing time. I hope you guys are having an amazing time. Everyone else is having an amazing time. The comments have not stopped. I can tell you that right now. Mm-hmm. So now, Jayne, I want to kind of direct it back to you real quick. Okay. Yeah. So what's been your involvement? Like, what do you know about the hobby right now? Like, are you in charge of the account? Who's in, what do you know about who's making what? And if there's anyone out there that you're kind of like, ooh, that looks good. I don't know if you kind of feed off other people like I do, but what do you know, Miss Jayne?
You know what? That's very, it's a very interesting question. I actually do not, I do not actually look at what anyone else is doing. I love looking after the animals. I can't get, I'm not a computer person. I just can't, I guess I'm more an animal person than I am the does that, I'm not making sense.
She likes cat videos.
You're behind the scenes. No, you could care that. That makes
I deal with people, like in my job, I am talking to people all day and I deal with people all day. So I think I love the solitude of the animals that don't talk to me. And I really, really just love them because they're so zen and they just relax you. And I like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'll be scrolling through Instagram or wherever, Facebook, and if I see something that grabs my attention, I'll go, check this out. What do you think? And she'll go, that's nice.
That's what it is. He does all that legwork for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the last thing we want to do is both of us sitting in bed scrolling, looking at snakes. It just, that's, we have other things we'd like to accomplish.
I do that. I literally do that when it's like, I mean, when I'm scrolling through my phone, it's like punching in, like I'm working. Cause that's like, once I'm done with the day, I put my phone somewhere where I don't even look at it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, just checked out. Cause
that's hard.
Yeah. It
is hard. It is hard, but it gets to the point where I actually feel better doing it because like, you just gotta like, it's like a never ending. You'll always see something on social media that should keep you to want to keep looking. It's like never ending because like, if you're really out there trying to learn more and expand stuff, like it's like, it's all out there. But, on the other side of things, when it comes to posting and stuff, like in responding to DMs and whatnot, which is a new thing to me now this year. Cause DMs are just, I mean, I respond to a lot of DMs now this year because of the show. And, thank you to everyone for that. But I do things where, I don't overdo it mentally. You know what I mean? Cause I want to give people the same attention as I can to each DM instead of just kind of just brushing through it and just, giving people the cold shoulder. Cause I don't want to do that. But I mean, I don't know.
It's hard communicating with everybody. And I'm not the greatest person on the planet to do that. I mean, we're kind of reclusive, both of us. We really enjoy our solitude and we have a few friends, but we really, I mean, especially with COVID, we've had to really adjust, whereas we'd have, people over every weekend for a dinner. And now we just don't.
Yeah. And I think for me, when we went into lockdown in March and it made me realize I was just working too hard and I was spending way too much time on social media, answering clients and doing all this other stuff. And I just began to feel that it wasn't a very healthy thing, like this type of environment where we're just having a conversation. I really like that. When it comes to just typing into my phone, I'm just not into that anymore. So it's kind of made me want to step back from a lot of that. And I think as well, what was the documentary that was about social media? What was the documentary?
Oh yeah, it was on Netflix, I think. The social project or something like that. And it was just, I mean, it controls you, and it's scary how much it controls you.
But it's designed to do that. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because you got to think about it. Who really watches television nowadays?
We do.
Not a lot.
We do.
We don't watch.
I'm talking about, like, you know, like, remember when there was TV? I mean, I remember when they had TV guides. Like, television was a family thing. I'm talking about shows, like, you know, people shows like on a certain channel where everything, people watch YouTube stuff off their TVs. Don't get me wrong, people watch, but I'm talking about classic TV shows. You know what I mean? Like, hardly anybody watches that no more because now everything is focused to do online. Everything is via the web, and even when you do your shopping, when it comes to looking for things, like the way Instagram is designed now is to where you could just buy things. Like, you could easily just go to that shopping icon at the bottom and start shopping for things. You know what I mean?
We do that. Unfortunately,
I think as well, like, we're of the generation where we didn't have cell phones when we were young. We haven't grown up with it. So I was kind of thinking, you know, what did I do in the evenings when I didn't have a phone before? Like, you know, what did I spend my time doing? And I don't mean watching TV, but I think I did things that were,
we listen to music.
Yeah,
we listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, we do listen to a lot of.
We listen to a lot of music.
You were talking about that before we got started. I got all excited, but I'm glad you brought it up, okay? Because I was playing some jams. I always play a little bit of like lounge, you know, just greenhouse, green room music for my guests while I'm getting ready and stuff. And they noted, or, you know, Jayne noticed it was a classic, you know, stylistic jam. But what's music to you guys? I mean, I told you how much important it is to me, but I want to know from you, Markus.
Boy, I think the first real amazing artist that I went like wow to was David Bowie, and that's because, you know, when I went to high school,
so cool.
I had a really good friend that was the music guy. He was the music guru. And he used to come to us and say, "Oh, you got to hear this and you got to hear that." And I mean, I grew up with my brother that was much older, and he used to play, you know, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and you know, a lot of 60s music, and of course the Beatles are, you know, part of that whole, you know, era, which phenomenal. But then, you know, when I went to high school, you know, it was David Bowie, it was Floyd, it was Supertramp, it was Genesis, it was
The
Who, Kansas, you know, Styx from the United States.
I love you. You a Zepp head?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, how can you not like Led Zeppelin? I mean, the stuff is amazing. You know, and then we moved on from there. One of the bands we love is ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. Yeah. Is just a phenomenal band.
Tears for Fears.
Tears for Fears. A lot.
I was gonna say that Tears for Fears. That's literally the first that album with sowing the seeds for love. Oh, that was like my favorite song when I was 3 years old. My dad used to say I used to play the air trumpet when it would happen. Oh my god, that song! You play that song, my daddy breaks down and cry. Like, and my dad's like, he's kind of emotional, but still, like, he literally like stop what he's doing if he hears that song, or he'll even call me sometimes when he hears it, and I'm like, Dad, just chill. And he'll go through the whole little skit like what I used to do when I was little. And Tear for freaking Fears, man.
Yeah, we actually saw the concert about
4 years ago. Yeah, up here. They were amazing. I mean, they sounded exactly. I mean, they're such a musical band. And we even saw Brian Ferry from Roxy Music. And he was old at the time, 67 years old. Yeah. Absolutely. Because, you know, they can go out and they can get these amazing musicians now, and they can make the album sound more like the album than when they used to play it. I mean, you take a band like ELO, which was just layer on layer on layer, and they go out live, they could never duplicate live what they did in the studio. Now they can. I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch a documentary about ELO, their last concert tour, it's phenomenal. But, you know, we were saying before this podcast started, and we started talking about music, that, you know, people that are alive today, and my generation, we lived through the absolute greatest music generation in the history of the world. Okay?
Facts.
Dead on. I mean,
Facts.
you know, from the late 50s to the 80s, 90s, it's hard to find good shit these days. I mean, I love the Foo Fighters. I love the Foo Fighters because they're so original. But boy, and even, you know, we watched a documentary the other day about the Bee Gees.
Oh yeah, the Bee Gees. They were so mainstream though. That's what transitioned to like good music.
Yeah, but you know, they
Documentary's
were geniuses.
Yeah.
They were geniuses. They're the ones to break the radio stream and stuff and just go nuts.
Well, you know, they had 5 hits in the top 10 on Billboard at one time, right? And as much as a lot of people are probably going, "Oh, fuck the Bee Gees," you can't deny talent, and you can't deny writing of songs and catchy songs, and they broke the mold in so many ways. And the one unique thing they had was their harmonies, the 3 of them together. It was an instrument. I mean, when you have people like, what's his name, Noel Gallagher from Oasis, and you got Justin Timberlake, the musical genius, and you got who else was in the
Dreamy Oasis.
Crazy, right? So yeah, we love music, and you know, sometimes what we'll do on a Saturday night, we'll have a nice meal, light a fire, sit in here, and we'll pick different bands and listen to their albums, right, on Apple Music or whatever, from album to album to album, and it's quite a journey. It's a lot of fun.
We'll also play this really silly game that I love playing because I usually kick Mark's ass, is where we'll play the first like so many bars of a song, and
we have to guess
you got to guess
is.
who it is and what the song
And
is.
she's very good because she's from England.
Yeah.
Wow.
As soon as he gets like into the like Crosby, Stills, Nash.
No, we've never played Crosby. Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know any of that music.
But again, great harmonies, right? Crosby, Stills, Nash. You know.
Can we, when we first meet, can we play that game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would love somebody good to play that game.
I would love to play that game. I would love that. That'd be awesome.
One band we didn't mention, and I have to mention my favorite band is Queen.
Queen, yeah.
What about the Police?
Police?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
And you know what's great about all these bands? They all had their own sound.
Yes, that which you don't find nowadays. Everything everything's a rip off from the song before, and it all comes down to these original songs is what they're ripping it off from. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's originality.
Bands Foreigner, Foreigner were the great songwriters. I mean, amazing songwriters.
I love Duran Duran.
Yes,
I love
Duran. Huge. Yep. She knows all the good ones.
Duran Duran, I'm from the UK, obviously, and they used to sit in the same pub as me every night with my friends, and they became
before they were Duran Duran, before they were known.
Yeah,
and Billy Idol.
Billy Idol. Yeah.
Psychedelic Furs.
Psychedelic Furs. Yeah, great band. The 80s was one of the greatest eras in music.
Oh yeah. Great. That's
Ballet and Teardrop Explodes, Ultra Rocks, Midure. When he was in the dark, like all that shit. I'm just all over.
You know what's a really good band in the United States, and I don't know if you've ever heard of them. You probably have because you're in the music business. MGMT.
MGMT.
Oh yeah. Oh man, they were really good. The indie rock. So they were like the start of the indie rock. You know what I mean? And oh man, good music right there. I had a couple remixes off that song, but nothing was as good as the original, and I loved that song. It was kind of like a happy song for me. A lot of which I'm talking about let me get it real quick. I just want to know which one I'm talking about. I can't.
They released an album in the last few years, and it's actually really good, and it sounds a lot like Pet Shop Boys. They pulled a lot of sounds from the old days, Pet Shop Boys, OMD, whatever. Yeah, really,
But
really great.
They
album.
sound like Arcade Fire too. Sometimes.
Yeah, Arcade Fire is
Yeah.
one of my favorite bands for
I'm
sure.
thinking that song "Kids" is what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Such a great song. But Arcade Fire, I saw them in Coachella. I think 2000 and 2009 is when I saw Arcade Fire in Coachella, and amazing, man. Wash, I don't know if you heard of Wash, but Wash is amazing as well. Wash is an indie rock band that's really, really, really good. And that's just a, you know, that's music where when I listen to it, I'm like, okay, I've never heard this anywhere else. Like this originated, like this is created from a band, not like just off a computer with certain beats, samples, which, you know, not to hate on any producer. That's how I was that kind of producer. I didn't have a band, like, and I always respected people who played instruments. You know, I got comfortable on, you know, on MIDI controllers and certain keys, but you can't put me on a piano. And I just respected people who just knew how to do plugins. They'd plug in and just play a live instrument. And that's that. I mean, there's, you know, music in all general, no matter how you do, it's an art. You know, it's music. You know, you're creating stuff. But man, when you're creating stuff from the original instrument, from its like actual source of a sound, it's like you can't get more beautiful than that. You can't.
No, I agree.
You play any instruments, Mark?
No.
You know, our son plays anything. He's one of those people who'll pick anything up and play it. And when he was about 17, he auditioned for a band that were going on tour around Canada and the US. And he was just going into the military at the time. And he said, you know, what should we do? And Mark's like, you should play in the band. Right? You know? Yeah. And I'm like, no, you should get a job, you know. But anyway, he ended up playing in the band, and he had too much fun and made no money, and met some people, really famous people who were totally messed up. And he came home and he said, yeah, that was fun, but I'm done. I'm out now. So,
yeah, you know, I talk about this probably, I don't want to say every podcast, but I'm so much in debt to these animals because I left a life that was just so dark and messed up because of the music. I just couldn't control myself, you know, because, you know, nowadays, especially with the DJ world, with music comes drugs, you know, or a party scene, right? And I'm from San Diego, where we get access to anything because we're right next to Mexico. And, you know, just a lot of my friends and just, you know, my neighborhood people just dealt drugs, you know what I mean? So going from that transition and getting pulled into this was just the biggest, and then meeting my wife, those are the two biggest blessings I could ever possibly have. Like that was literally like, I don't know, but I was definitely on that. Like I could have done so much more with music, but my mind was so clouded and just on different, like I had different, I don't know what I didn't have ideas, but I was just like not focused the way I'm focused with snakes. Now with this, it's like, I don't know what's happening. I'm not surprising myself now. Just more stuff happens, but it's all because, you know, where the energy's at now. It's all positive stuff.
Really calming too.
Well,
they're so zen. They really mellow you out. They're consistent, you know.
But, you know, what you just described are two things that have grounded you. We all need to be grounded. When you were in the music industry, you were everything but grounded. You were floating up here, right?
Yeah. Head was in the gutters.
And there was nothing, you know, pulling you down and holding you in one place where you focused on anything for any length of time. Now you have found two things that have tethered you in a good way, you know, and you're grounded, and that's what you need to be. Now you just need to learn to grow things and cook.
Oh, I could cook. Mark, that's my wife right here. She's in the building. But babe, tell him how I won you over. I would just cook for her. Oh man, I could cook, Mark. But
good for you.
I do need to start making some things for sure. But I love to cook. What's your favorite? Well, actually, that's part of the. We'll get into that. That's part of the wrap up questions. But I do have a wrap up subject that I want to bring up. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I did ask you, I was like, hey man, is there anything you kind of want to steer away from? And you gave me the open book. You said, nope, let's talk about it. Right. So what I want to talk about is, I don't want to say it's an issue, but man, it's a wearing. People are noticing it, you know, and you got so many people that look up to certain people in this hobby, like the big hitters, right? And you've mentored people in this game, and you know, I just don't like, I would like to know what you feel about mentors taking digs at other mentors. And I'm talking about the big mentors. I'm not talking about little, new breeders. I'm talking about breeders who've been well known in this hobby. And, all I got to say is, whatever's whatever, but having issues with each other, you know what I mean? Not being able to solve something and coming together. Okay. And this is something where, because all I got to say is you are friends with a lot of these people. I'm talking about big, tall people. I'm talking about the high people. You get what I'm kind of saying? Like, I don't want to, I'm not here to say names. I don't want to put out any names out there because that's not what I'm trying to do right now. But you get what I'm saying, right?
What's the question? How do I feel about other people taking,
finding a resolution for it? Like, not like, I'm just saying, like, I think things need to come together, right? And I just feel like with somebody who's, I don't want to say powerful, but you're important. Like, you're very important to a lot of these people. You know what I mean? And I know your word's important. I know you're like, obviously what you have to say is respected to not only me or the people watching, but people who eventually will watch this.
I think, the thing is, don't feel that if you see something that you like, don't ever be afraid to compliment that breeder for what they've accomplished, because it doesn't take anything away from you. We had this discussion today about somebody that Jayne works with, and some people feel that if they compliment somebody, they're giving something away in themselves, and that's just not true. I think I've seen some big breeders produce some amazing stuff, and I've seen people I don't even know who they are produce amazing stuff. And everybody deserves accolades for what they've accomplished.
Yes.
Now, there might be some issues out there in the business part of the industry, deals gone bad or whatever.
Right.
And there's, you can't control that. People are people, whether it's the reptile industry, whether it's the car industry, the finance industry, it doesn't matter. Those things are going to happen. But I think that, I'm always feel proud of, seeing what people have accomplished, either with snakes I've helped them with or sold them, or snakes they've gotten from somebody else. I get excited when I see somebody I don't know, but they've produced something and they've inspired me.
Yeah.
Well, how bad would it be if I woke up tomorrow and said to Jayne, yeah, I just can't be inspired anymore. I'm at the top of the game now. I've been doing this. I'm just not inspired anymore. I am inspired. I get inspired every single day. Every day. And that's the fuel that keeps you going. I mean, the snake, and the beauty and the accomplishments, and I know that there are people in this industry that are doing way better than I am when it comes to finances and, financial or whatever. It's never been about the money for me. And honestly, I don't think it's necessarily about the money to them. But they're doing fucking awesome. And my hat's off to them. Because if I can be motivated by people like Justin Kabalka and Oz and Josh and Will and people like Foster and the Khalil and Sam and whatever, it's a fucking great thing. It's a great thing.
That's such the kind of mindset to have, because it's one thing that Brian Barczyk said last year, and it just sunk in my head, is like, someone else's win isn't your loss. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, hello, like, and this is all like our community. Like, you should want more things to thrive. You should want more things to hatch out. That means more opportunity. Like you don't, unless you want to cap out, like Mark is saying, but who wants to cap out in this? That's not why you're in this. No, there's no capping out. You should always be waking up with excitement. There should always be something going into a new breeding season that you're just like, you can't even just imagine what's going to happen. Like, that's in this game. This hobby is laid out for you like that. That's what's so awesome. Like,
I can tell you one thing that snake breeders always say is, "Oh, this year's good, but wait till next year." You never ever stop saying that, right?
Yeah.
Like, wait till next year. And today I was going through and feeding a lot of my juvies, and a lot of them are between 1,000, 1,300 grams. And I mean, seriously, you don't need porn, when you can open up those tubs and get that natural excitement, from things that it gives you something to look forward to down the road. And that's something we've lived by. From day one, we said, let's always put something in our path that we look forward to, whether it's a trip, whether it's snakes hatching out, whether it's getting a new puppy, whether it's going on having a great meal. Always plan something down the road that you look forward to. Well, there's nothing on this planet that is going to provide that more than ball pythons. Nothing. I can tell you that right now, because it's always changing, always evolving. And it's just as inspiring. And, the other day, Jayne and I were having dinner, and I said, well, I've decided I'm going to retire. And she said, when? And I said, when I'm 70. And I'll be turning, 64 in a month today. Yeah. And she said, fuck off. You're not going to retire at 70. She said, you can't retire at 70. You love this too much. And I thought, yeah, she's probably right. But it's, what else can you say that about? And I've had lots of different jobs in my life, and nothing has been more rewarding than this.
Because no matter what you love, and we're talking a lot of professions, we're talking even athletes, stuff is just wear and tear on your body, or it's just mentally draining, or it gets old, or it comes with conflict. So much other things are great for only so long. But in the ball python game, man, it's just good forever. It's good forever, man. Even if, man, God forbid, knock on wood, I don't want this to happen to anybody, but, we've heard stories of people's collections burning down. They've even started in regroup. You could even regroup from something as terrible as that, which I don't want that to happen to nobody. Please be careful.
No, but when we have such a great community out there that when something like that does happen, people step up. They step up. There's some great people in this industry. Great people.
Yeah. Mexico. Let's talk about Mexico real quick. So I know you guys had a trip. You organized that trip. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's because Jayne still works for the resort company, or what? Can we talk about
travel agent?
Yeah. I just thought it would be really cool to get some breeders and their partners to go to a really nice resort, and it was an awesome resort, and just sit around the pool and talk and have a few drinks and go out for some nice meals. We had some amazing meals, and be in an environment where we could be more people as opposed to snake breeders. We talked a lot about snakes, but we also got to learn a lot about the people and who they are as people, and we had a blast. There were 23 people that came, and we had it planned, and we were just about to launch the next trip, and we were increasing it, I believe, to 40 people max, and then COVID hit. Damn. And literally a week before we had everything priced out, everything done, and then COVID hit. And thank God we didn't start taking deposits, because
that would have been a freaking huge mess.
It would have been a mess, because we don't keep the deposits. We've got to pay the deposit to the store, right?
It's terrible.
But we'll do it again. But we're also talking about potentially doing a trip to Peru. And doing the Machu Picchu trek to Machu Picchu, which is one of the greatest things you could ever do in your life.
Do you want to know one of the other greatest things you could ever do in your life in America?
What's that?
Is visit San Diego, get yourself 2 VIP taco tour wristbands that I have, and I'm going to take you on a taco tour. Okay. We're going to go inside. We're going to go to Tijuana. Okay. And then we're going to go a little bit closer to the water in Rosarito. And I'm going to give you the best. I'm talking about this smashes anything in Cancun, anything in Playa del Carmen, Tulum. This is like literally the best of the best. I'm talking anywhere from the beans, the rice, to tortilla, to the lobster, to the carne asada, everything. If you like Mexican food, you will not want to miss this experience. I have 2 wristbands.
Do they have pastor?
Yeah, El Pastor. I have a video I'm going to send your way. I have a place called Tacos El Gordo, okay? And it's the fresh El Pastor every day.
Yeah.
Put what you want. I put con todo. Give me everything. And I eat like 4 of those with a mulita. You know what a mulita is? So they get the corn tortilla and they put cheese, okay? And then they they combined it it's like a corn quesadilla. It is amazing. It's heaven. I'm so hungry now. So I don't want to.
Churros. I love churros. Oh my god!
We used to go to a little island off the North Shore by Cancun called Holbox. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Did you ever go to Holbox? You would go north of Cancun, about 2 hours, right up to the peninsula. So
I stayed like all in the southern part. Like, so I was Tulum, PDC, and then I most recently went to Playa Mujeres for my wedding. That's the only part of Mexico I've been real familiar with.
Is pretty amazing place, and we used to eat at this outdoor taco place at night, and we'd have pastor and we'd have tacos. And they didn't serve beer, so we'd go into the convenience store, put the beer on the table, no problem. And oh my God, the food was absolutely to die for.
And there's not tourists there.
No.
Mexico has one of the beers because I can't really handle beer so much anymore. I literally abused it throughout my party years being a DJ. Like my body went through a lot of abuse. So like I don't even drink alcohol anymore. Every now and then I have a beer, but the Mexican beer I can handle. Like, so the Barrelitos, I don't know if you ever heard of the Barrelitos, but it's like a little barrel. They only sell them down in Mexico. Oh boy, I love that beer, man. And the Clamatos down there, I love. Like, I don't know if you guys have, they're like, they call them Ojo Rojos. I don't know if you, have it's like beer with tomato juice, and they put.
Yeah.
I drink those until literally I have the worst freaking heartburn in the world, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Mm.
Oh man, this has been an amazing 2 hours, guys. I mean, I can't thank you enough. I mean, like I said, I would really love it if you could come on an Unfiltered Reptiles podcast so I don't get too much trouble with my co-hosts over there, because they're pretty bummed out, but they'll be all right. But guys, this was an amazing time. I do have some hot seat questions for the both of you, and let's kind of do something where you guys both answer at the same time. Okay. I would love to see that. Okay. So hot seat questions time for the beautiful Markus and Jayne, who literally has started off this year too legit for me. I don't know how I'm going to follow this episode, to be honest. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't know. This is really good. But anyways, hot seat questions coming at you, Markus and Jayne. Here we go. Frozen thought or live?
Live.
A cut or no cut?
No
cut.
Big flexor or no flexor?
Big flexor.
Come on, Markus.
I forget what it was all about. Tell me, what was it about?
No fucking idea.
Oh, big flexor.
I
big
just
flexor.
like the idea of big flexor. It sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Big flexor.
Yeah.
All right. Hockey or soccer?
Hockey.
Okay.
Football.
Football. You're right. Football. European. Sorry about that. Steak or fish?
Fish.
Okay.
Oh, steak.
Okay. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince. For sure, Prince.
Wow. My heart just hit the ground, and Cusco's going to be he's going to be laughing his butt off right now. I've had this crazy argument, like, and not argument, I love Cusco, but man, I've stand in my ground. I feel like Michael Jackson's been king, and he's like, nope, it's been Prince. And there it is. It's Markus and Jayne said it. Shut me down, Prince.
Did you hear him sing Purple Rain live? it makes you cry. Well, you can't now because he's dead, but it was amazing. Yeah.
What about man? What about Man in the Mirror?
Huh?
What about Man in the Mirror?
That's Michael
That's
Jackson.
Michael
Man in the Mirror.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look, there's no denying that Michael Jackson was phenomenal.
Prince was
talent.
talented. Talk about
Prince.
playing the instrument and write your own songs, and I mean, he was so talented musically.
Could play guitar.
I'm never bringing this up again. This is definitely shut down for life on the podcast. Okay. And it was lastly said by Markus and Jayne. Prince it is. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
Neither.
Christmas rapper. Christmas rapper.
Okay. Favorite thing to cook?
Oh, I love Italian food. I have a thing about Italian food.
So I like. What's your favorite Italian dish?
Good bolognese.
Ragu. You make really good ragu.
Phenomenal ragu. I like a really good bruschetta. I love growing. You know, my whole thing about cooking is I grow a lot of my own produce. And the Italians, when they cook, it was like, okay, what do we got? You know, we got some tomatoes, we got some lettuce, we got some this, we got some that. They always have pasta. So what are we going to do? You know, how are we going to make the pasta? And it's a art that all the mamas and the grandmothers, you know, used to cook in the kitchen and make amazing food. And that's disappearing, right? Like you probably know from your family, you know, your grandmother probably cooked a lot for you and your mother or whatever. Yeah, I love Italian. I love Thai food. I cook Thai food. A lot of Thai food. I like anything really, as long as it's done well and it just explodes with the right blend of flavors.
Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Van Halen.
Right on. All right, little word association. First thing to come to mind: milk.
Milk. I don't know. Do we even have milk?
Of magnesia. I don't know.
Milk and cereal, I guess.
Duds?
Milk.
What are those candies?
For some reason, I thought toast popped in. Toast?
Well, that's too hard. Move on.
Cereal? Okay, cereal. We'll take cereal. Cocoa.
Cocoa?
Cocoa.
Tiramisu.
Okay. Jayne? Cocoa?
I suck at this.
First thing that comes to mind.
Nut.
Nutmeg.
Nutmeg. Perfect. Stuck shed.
Stuck shed?
Yeah.
Oh, I love when they've got a bit of shed on them that's got to come off. Like I'm like a dog with a bone. I just love it.
Okay.
You know, you just awesome. Yeah.
What about you, Markus?
Broken condom. They look like broken condoms. You know, you open it up and it's like, and I swear to God, I could find like a shed from a 5-foot ball python and put it on Facebook and say, look at the size of this condom. And 90% of the people would believe that it's a snakeskin condom, a new designer.
Maybe we should, that's a good business idea.
There you go. You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Dibs on that.
Yeah.
Instagram trolls.
Instagram trolls? Block. Honestly, I don't think I've ever blocked anybody on Instagram. I have on Facebook, a lot of people, and they're not snake people. They're just idiots. You know, people that this is the way I look at Facebook. Facebook is like, you know, when you've got a beautiful yard with beautiful green grass. I don't know if you have grass in San Diego, but here we do. But you own these German Shepherds, and you look at the grass and you go, oh, I'm just going to take my shoes off and walk barefoot in that grass. That's what Facebook is, okay? But it's not a matter of if, It's a matter of when you're going to step in a fresh fucking pile of dog shit.
And wet shit.
Book is okay, and it's I'm enjoying. Look at all these snakes. And then all of a sudden you see something. You go, yeah, I just stepped in it, you know, and you can unsee some shit. And I just, when I see people being absolutely ridiculous and mean, cruel, and they don't know what they're talking about, I just immediately block them.
Blocked.
I don't have time. I don't have time for negative energy.
Keep it moving.
Energy.
I probably already know the answer to this one, but let's figure it out. Instagram, one of them has to go forever. Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. That's the wrap-up question. That's the hot seat questions, and you guys did okay. You Jayne,
we got stumped on milk.
Yeah, I got you on milk.
Yeah.
Do you drink milk? Like, we don't drink milk. Do you drink milk?
I don't. I can't even drink milk. My body will reject it. I have to. I drink almond milk. I'm on that. I've been on that almond milk for the last like 5 years.
Oh, say milk again.
Milk.
Almond.
Oh. You guys are funny.
Oat milk. Soy milk. Yeah, we got it now.
Thank you so much for tonight. I do want to say, like I said, there's been so many people, so many supporters, all positive stuff in the comments. Like over 100 people have been live this entire time, and thrilled to have you on. I want to know, what are your words to everyone, all your supporters, everyone who's been, looking up to you, all the above. I want to hear from the both of you. What do you have to say to them?
You know what? Just keep doing. That's the difference between people that succeed and don't succeed. The people that succeed do. They do. They do things. They don't talk about it. They do it. Don't be afraid of failure, because when one door, closes, another one opens. Failures can lead to great success.
Right.
If you look throughout history, so many people failed so many times before they were successful. And it's so enjoyable, just keep doing what you're doing and do it with passion and believe in yourself, and buy some good shit. Don't try and start off. I mean, you can start off with lesser stuff, but try and get the best animals that you could possibly get your hands on.
Yeah.
That's what you got. And quality. There's a difference, man. There's a difference.
Huge difference.
Huge difference. Go after quality, and there's a lot out there that you can get.
And it shows.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And your wisdom?
My words of wisdom.
To all your viewers, everyone who loves the Markus Jayne brand and just what you guys are doing. I got so many people who are inspired because they all, like I'm inspired. I got my wife who's literally my biggest support system. So yeah, let's hear it from Jayne.
I've known Mark for a long time, and he's the nicest person I know. He's the nicest person I know. And so when I see people, really love and appreciate the animals and the hard work he puts in, that makes me really happy, because he deserves it. So keep doing what you're doing, everybody, and do it well.
And support each other. If you're, I saw a few people on here saying, we're a husband and wife team. Enjoy the journey, and support each other, and it's a lot of fun. When you've got something in common that you can work towards, it's very exciting. So yeah, go for it.
Exciting. Just as well and exciting as this year just started off, thanks to you guys. Episode 52 in the books. Markus and Jayne. Thank you.
Thank you. It was our pleasure.
Yes, amazing times. I want to reach out to you, Markus, after this, and we'll talk. But thank you so much, guys. Have a good night. Enjoy.
Right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Good night.
Thanks.
Wow, Markus and Jayne in the books. What an amazing time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it, getting to know these two, and it's everything what all you guys told me. I've talked to Khalil and Will and so many people who've told me about Markus and even Jayne. People who've met these two, and man, they're right. Beautiful people, man. So much knowledge, Very inspiring. Such a great podcast. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for tapping in. Do not forget, please don't forget, if this was your first time viewing this or watching a podcast, I do these every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, bringing everything I can that's reptile related, anything from, ball pythons, green trees. It doesn't matter. Anything that we could all gain from, man. It's the cool thing is there's no such thing as working with just one species. I'm realizing a lot of people are into a lot of things, but I'm trying to bring the best what I can and who's working with the best. And you just saw right now, I wasn't kidding when I said this is your mentor's favorite mentor. This guy was it, and his wife is it. And this was amazing. Can't wait. Thanks, Khalil or Callie, DJ Callie. We're the best. Khalil has the best hair, just so you know. I'm growing my hair back, by the way. But all right, guys, have a wonderful night. Now, real quick before I let you guys go, don't forget this Saturday. Yep, we're back. Dabs and coffee session. Look who I'm bringing, man. If you want to know who's new, who's bringing the new stuff into the hobby, man, you're going to want to tap into this Saturday morning's episode with my man Mike Sanders of Insane Clown Pythons. This guy is making some powerful flexing moves, and he's copying some stuff that is ridiculously jaw-dropping, man. You're not going to want to miss this. You're going to want to meet this guy. Super fresh, super new into the hobby. And I want to hear what he has planned. And he's willing to talk to us, man. This fool's dropping 6 figures type of stuff, like big money. So I want to hear what this guy has to say. So check it out. I will put a link to that show in the description below. Make sure you go follow Markus and Jayne. Please, Markus, Jayne Reptiles. Make sure you give them a follow. And yeah, go support their page, man. It's amazing stuff. All beautiful things. I was so inspired by tonight's podcast. A lot of takeaways. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. And thank you for everyone who was in the comments. Thank you everyone who just was in here and supporting. And I appreciate you guys, man. This ain't going to stop. We're going to go hard and hard each and every episode. So, all right, man. You guys have a good night. Be safe. God bless.